All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating anomaly in the modern retail world. We are dissecting the ultimate Veblen good, a brand that completely defies conventional economic logic and honestly treats its retail stores more like exclusive country clubs. We are of course talking about Hermes. We're going to peel back the layers of this immortal luxury empire, looking closely at the data, the history, and the psychology to understand exactly how they built a business model that is frankly in a league entirely of its own.
Over $100,000. Yeah, you heard that right. Now, when we talk about consumer goods, we expect high prices for high quality, but Hermes, they occupy a completely different stratosphere. While their entry-level bags are already pretty expensive, rare editions routinely shatter records on the secondary market. Take the Himalaya Birkin, for example. One of those sold at a Sotheby's auction for nearly $500,000. So we are dropping right into an atmosphere of extreme luxury here, where the price ceiling is practically non-existent.
To put that into perspective, you could literally walk into a high-end dealership, purchase a brand new, high-performance luxury car, and you would still have spent less than the cost of a single rare Hermes bag. It's an absurd comparison, right? A depreciation-heavy piece of advanced engineering versus, well, a few pieces of hand-stitched leather. But here's the kicker: those leather bags actually appreciate in value. And here is the truly bizarre part. Even with that massive price tag, people all around the world are willing to wait years, literally years, just for the privilege of being allowed to buy one.
Which brings us to the core mystery of our explainer today. What exactly makes a Hermes bag so incredibly expensive? Are buyers simply paying for the absolute finest exotic leathers in the world? Are they paying for meticulous human craftsmanship? Or is there a hidden, much bigger psychological mechanism at play here? Well, we're going to break this down layer by layer to find the real answer.
Let's start with layer 1, from saddles to status.
To really understand the present, we actually have to rewind all the way back to 1837 in Paris, France. See, Thierry Hermes wasn't making handbags. Not at all. He was totally obsessed with creating harnesses and saddles that wouldn't fail under pressure for wealthy horse owners. He even invented a specific saddle stitch that became renowned for its absolute durability and uncompromising perfection. Eventually, as cars started replacing horses, Hermes smartly pivoted. They took that exact same saddle-making technique and applied it to luxury travel bags and leather goods for their elite clients. That original obsession with saddle-level perfection, it never left their DNA, and it's what evolved them into the global luxury empire they are today.
Moving on to layer 2, the master artisans.
So when you're trying to justify a six-figure price tag, the first logical guess is that the manufacturing process must be completely distinct from typical retail. And you know what? It is. Instead of modern factory assembly lines, Hermes assigns one highly trained master artisan to create one bag from start to finish. They source the finest materials on earth like togo or exotic crocodile leather. The artisan then uses that archival couture soleil, that signature saddle stitch we just talked about, which simply cannot be replicated by a machine. It is a painstakingly unrushed process. Actually, it takes an artisan anywhere from 18 to 48 hours of intense labor to complete just a single bag. Nothing is rushed here, and absolutely nothing is mass-produced.
But let's pause and challenge that idea for a second. Does craftsmanship alone truly explain a six-figure price tag? I mean, the artistry is undeniably incredible. The materials are top tier for sure, and the labor is intense. But if we're being purely objective here, the raw cost of materials and labor still doesn't mathematically add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. There is clearly another force driving these astronomical costs.
And that force is layer 3, the power of scarcity. This is where we shift away from the physical bag itself and look at their deliberate business mechanics. Because here's the wild thing. You cannot just walk into a store and buy a Birkin. Seriously, if you have the money burning a hole in your pocket and you walk into a boutique right now, you'll likely just find empty display shelves. This is due to the infamous Hermes game. It's basically an unspoken prerequisite where clients often have to build up a spend history. They have to build a profile by buying thousands of dollars worth of scarves, plates, shoes, you name it, before a sales associate will even consider going into the back room to offer them a bag. It's deeply frustrating for the consumer, but structurally, it's brilliantly engineered.
Think about traditional economics for a second. When global demand skyrockets, a company immediately scales up manufacturing to cash in, right? Hermes does the exact opposite. There is an ever-growing pool of wealthy consumers who desperately want these products, but the supply line, it remains completely flat. Hermes intentionally limits and caps its own production. They purposely refuse to flood the market, keeping supply artificially much lower than demand.
By artificially restricting access like this, Hermes fundamentally alters human behavior. This isn't just about a bag being hard to get anymore. It's about creating a true rite of passage. The scarcity creates a barrier to entry that money alone cannot solve. It literally transforms the consumer from a buyer into an applicant. And let's be honest, the harder something is to get, the more people want it. The bag ceases to be just a retail product. It becomes a highly sought-after prize. This extreme scarcity fuels a manic consumer desire that completely overrides rational budgeting.
Which leads us perfectly into Layer 4, the psychology of luxury.
To understand why highly successful, intelligent people open their wallets so widely for leather goods, we have to examine the psychological triggers. At this price point, buyers aren't just purchasing hand-stitched leather, not even close. They are purchasing status, prestige, wealth, and exclusivity. It's all about signaling. The ultra-wealthy use these bags as a silent, unspoken language to recognize one another. Walking into a room carrying a Hermes bag is basically a tribal marker of the global elite. It's a wearable passport to the ultimate exclusive club that very few can ever enter. And this creates a fascinating economic anomaly known as a Veblen good. Now, normally if you raise the price of a product, fewer people want to buy it, right? Basic economics. But for a Veblen good like a Hermes bag, demand actually increases as the price goes up. Why? Because the high price itself is the feature. It's what provides the status. Increasing the cost actually increases the allure, making the item an even more potent symbol of ultimate wealth.
Let's look at the big picture now, the global luxury empire.
When you combine that 19th century history of craftsmanship, the strict mechanics of artificial scarcity, and a deep, deep understanding of consumer psychology, you get something truly unprecedented. It all boils down to a brilliantly counterintuitive strategy, making people want less availability and making them pay more for it. Think about how remarkable that is. Hermes evolved from a small French saddlery workshop into an empire that is virtually immortal and highly resilient against standard economic downturns simply by rewriting the rules of supply and demand to their absolute advantage.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to chew on. Are people really buying a bag, or are they buying the feeling that comes with it? Because at the end of the day, Hermes isn't just selling exotic leather and polished hardware. They are selling craftsmanship, sure, but they're also selling extreme scarcity and, above all, status. It really forces us to reflect on the nature of human desire, the immense power of status symbols, and the true, incredible cost of exclusivity. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.